I'm Indrek Maripuu, coming from Estonia. Very simply put, creative thinking is ability to find the new ideas. Simple as that. And design thinking is ability to look at problems or solutions from, let's say, customer's point of view. It doesn't mean always that it is customer in the business meaning, but I guess I will use this word all day long, meaning, I don't know, people who go to movies, meaning people who are watching movies, whatever. So the word comes from business world, but don't hesitate. Because design thinking is, I think it's a way of exploring the world or understanding the world. It's not something that belongs only to business world or somewhere. I will give you these slides later, so no need to write it down. You will get these in PDF files exactly as they are. And if you want to use them, use wherever you want and how many times you want, share them wherever you want, so it's totally free for you. Okay, I wanted to start with some, let's say, easy exercises to warm us up somehow. It's a very old picture drawn in the beginning of last century. And the question is very easy. What do you see on this picture?
Duck.
A duck?
A rabbit.
Yes, duck or a rabbit. Depends where it is looking. If it is looking this way, then it's a duck. And if this way, then it's a rabbit. Do you see both of them?
No.
Yeah. So most of people can see both duck and the rabbit if they know that they both are there. But they can't see both duck and the rabbit at the same time. And it's, I think it's kind of metaphor for today's workshop as well. Because if you're looking for a problem in this design thinking world, you can't look at the problem at the same time from, let's say, product or events point of view and customer point of view. You can switch between those two, but you can't see them both at the same time or think about both at the same time. So the tools that we are going to use today are important to make these switches. Okay. Yeah, Joseph Jastrow drew it 1900, and it was first picture of this kind. Nowadays, I don't know, you can Google and you find, I don't know, hundreds of the pictures where there are two hidden pictures at the same time. But it was, yeah, one of the first. Very shortly, my background is actually in the business world, but I would like to think that not anymore. We started our company 15 years ago, me and my wife. It was accounting company in the beginning, but it transformed pretty fast to, let's say, some kind of consulting company. We had an aim to become the biggest consulting company in Estonia, which we did, and I found that it was the most silly target what a man could have, at least for me. It wasn't nice at all. It meant that we had, and by the way, biggest in Estonia don't mean that you have to be big, because it's such a small country, as you know. But we had 20 people, and then when we started our company, I really liked that I can start my working days more or less when I want. And I don't have to, you know, report to someone, etc. But suddenly, when we were big enough, I found that there are 20 people and we have to go to the office every morning exactly, I don't know, it was 9 o'clock, I guess. So it wasn't for me. 5 years ago, we sold our shares in the company and moved from Tallinn to south of Estonia. We bought an old farmhouse, and now we are trying to build there something what we have called innovation farm or idea farm. So it's a place where teams can come and more or less do the same thing as we do today. Today it's a small part out of it, but still it's very similar. So I think I'm in kind of creative business somehow. I don't know how to call it exactly. So I understood that you have all met before and you more or less know each other, but I don't know. And then the most boring part in every such a training or workshop probably is when everyone has to introduce himself or herself. So I decided to skip it. But I want to do it not exactly skip, but to do it in a different way. So you will get to know each other a little bit more. And I'm not asking you later to report to me that I am blah blah blah, came from blah blah blah. But if you present yourself to your neighbors, I can just hear a little bit here and a little bit there, and then I get some understanding who you are. But the funny way how I thought we are going to do it is take a pen and a paper. You have plenty of them on your table. Divide the sheet into 4 boxes. And for each square, describe yourself by drawing a picture. But there are also topics in each square. Where are you from? And what is special about this place? And I don't mean country, I mean the smaller place. I don't know, city, village, whatever, wherever you are from or whatever you want to point out. And what is special about? So everyone will learn something about the place where you are coming from. But you have to draw, remember. What's your favorite hobby or hobbies? Favorite place on earth? And what are you good at? Or what are you best at? And let's take no more than approximately 10 minutes. If everyone is ready faster, then we can continue faster. But if not, then we take these 10 minutes. I've used it several times before. You have your background in film industry, in kind of creative part of life. But if I use exercise with people who are in, black suits and ties, they pretty often say that this is silly. I know how reasonable people act, and this is not reasonable. So my answer usually is that we don't have to be reasonable here today. Because if we are trying to be reasonable during creativity workshop, then it's better to end it right away, because there will be no good results anyway. We have to, kind of turn off this reasonable thinking or rational thinking. And actually you were doing something very important for one design thinker, because what you did was that you tried to understand the other person. And that's exactly what design thinking is all about. Usually we are thinking that we understand the customer, but very often we don't. And if we take the time and describe him or her, then actually, I show you later, we usually stop too early. We think it's detailed enough, but it's not. I will give you a good example later on. And if someone sometimes says that I can't draw, then here is my answer. I can't either, but I still do. It went so bad that I even had to break the rules and I write, it really has to be a picture of a bed. Because it's not. So it's not important at all how good you are at drawing. The idea is just to you know, think a little bit differently, act a little bit differently, and try to understand the neighbor. But anyway, it's not one of the tools, it's kind of warm-up exercise still. But it leads us to this, what was mentioned in the schedule also, that we all have some kind of patterns in our head. If the guy with black suit and tie is saying that it's not reasonable, I know how reasonable adults act, then it's a pattern. He knows, he has learned how to behave in some situations. And his problem is that sometimes he just don't understand that the situation is different. And the old pattern is not good enough anymore, at least in this situation. And actually, it's also a scientific fact that our brains are lazy. Our brains are working in two different modes, and one of them helps us, so to say, save energy. And this is the lazy mode. This means that brain is trying to take conclusions as fast as possible. And it will engage only if we push it hard. Usually it means that we are trying, I don't know, some tools, or we are making some very specific effort to solve something. And you will see it in next few slides as well. But if this lazy brain is, if it sounds interesting for you, then there is one guy who is called Daniel Kahneman. I don't know if the name is familiar for someone? No? But I can write it down. Daniel Kahneman. A scientist who has studied for more than 40 years how we think and how we take these short ways, and how we actually think we are thinking, but actually we are skipping thinking. We are just taking the answers out. I made it wrong. Not Daniel, but it should be L. Daniel. So you can Google him, you can find several presentations, but you can also find one of his greatest book, which is called Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow. It's not an easy reading. It's but it's interesting. So if you find it, you can decide if it's interesting for you or not. But it's about how our brain works in a very, let's say, not scientific way, but on a popular way written book. Okay, probably you know this exercise. I ask you which of the dark circles is bigger. Yeah, they are same, but probably you know that they are same. Or if you look at them, which one seems to be bigger? Yeah, exactly. But if we take away, now you see that they are equal. Okay, if it came already. Same here. Which one of the smallest squares are darker?
Yeah, the darker one looks smaller.
No, it's not about size, it's about color now.
Oh.
This one looks darker, yes?
Yeah. No way.
And no trick here. I just remove the background. So, you can, if you don't believe me, you can come here and take the background away by yourself. And it's exactly the same with information. Our brain gives the meaning for the message depending on the background information, depending how the information comes to us, how this is, I don't know, packed, so to say. Our brain, as I told you, is lazy. And it gets the impression and makes a conclusion. Impression, conclusion, impression, conclusion. Not much thinking involved in this fast thinking mode. Okay, it's a little bit math involved, but not much. And actually this is one exercise directly taken from Kahneman. If a baseball bat and the ball cost $1.10, and the bat costs $1 more than the ball, what is the price of the ball? Sorry? 10, 12, 10?
5 cents.
Yes, 5 cents. Do you believe him?
Yeah. 5 cents and 1 5.
Very often people are telling 10 cents. We can do the math later on here. But if this Kahneman used this exercise with students in Harvard Business School, approximately 66% of the students said that, Professor, it's the most easiest exercise you ever given to us. The answer is 10 cents, which is wrong answer. Right is, 5 cents. If the ball costs 5, then the bat costs 1 and 5, and they together are 1.10. But you say 10 cents because your brain takes this shorter way. Our brain looks, and we are even not too involved. One number and second number, and I can use them to calculate the third one. 1 and 10 minus $1, it's 10 cents, the answer is 10 cents. So we are not thinking that much, usually. And it's called actually habitual thinking. I have picked up two great sentences from people who have been experts in their field long time ago. So, who the hell wants to hear Hector's talk from your industry, yes? And if I'm not mistaken, then it was the end of the time when, we had these silent movies, yes? So, he was the one who started this Warner Bros. Studio. He was expert on his field. But what he did wrong was that he took the experience from the past and tried to use only this past experience to understand the future. And if we do this, the past experience is important, absolutely important, but it's not the only information. And if we use only this one, then very often we miss the new developments, the new things. And Lord Kelvin, well-known scientist also, said 1885 that heavier than air flying machines are impossible. And it didn't take long before the first flying machines were invented. Head of the US Patent Office said in the end of 19th century that the Patent Office of the United States should be closed down because all possible things have been invented already. It's a fact, he said that. So, and as I told, they were experts. They were not average silly people. They were experts. So I'm 100% sure that if someone will look at this tape in 100 years, there are lots of this kind of thoughts as well. Because that's how we human beings are working. We usually take this old pattern and we think everything will continue as it was. Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. Most often it doesn't. And it makes us blind. Okay, it was kind of introduction. We are going to talk mainly about two things, as I told you before. How to push our brain to find new ideas, and how to design, I don't know, events or products or services from customers' point of view. And actually those two are so tight, so together that it's sometimes it's even maybe not so easy to understand when we are ending with one topic and going to the another. And I have picked for you one case or one problem or one challenge, however we want to call it, what you are going to solve. I will come back to this a little bit later, but it's from the film industry, and I took some statistics which seem to me that is showing that there is a problem. But let's come back to this later. But no magic pill is available. You know, creativity tablet, that if you take it 5 days and 3 times per day, then you are creative or you are design thinker. It's only tools what I will give you, and the most important lesson, I guess, is that you have to use these tools at least 2, 3, or 4 times before you decide whether they are good for you or they are not. Because, you know, the first time as we are here today, it's like with every tool. If you take it for the first time, then sometimes it works, but sometimes it's not working. So make yourself a favor and use them, let's say, 3 times, and then make your decision if they are good for you or not. Okay, how do we work? Our workshop is actually divided into, let's say, 3 parts, because we don't go into this last one today that much. But it's very easy. In the first part, we are going to understand the problem, what we are going to solve. And today, as I told you, I'm giving you the problem and some background. And most probably you have a background yourself as well, because it comes from your industry. In this part, you are going to generate lots of ideas. We are 13, yes? So there will be, let's say, approximately 200 ideas or something. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depends on you. In this investigator part, you are going to pick up the ideas which you think are worth to work on. And the most important rule, what usually all of the people know but no one follows, is that in this part, when we are creating ideas, it's not a good idea to analyze the ideas or criticize or make a selection. All ideas are good here. And here we are going to analyze, argue, discuss, whatever, to make the selection. Because we are thinking in 2 different modes also from the creativity point of view. When we are here and trying to create ideas, then we are using our creative thinking ability. Here we are using our rational thinking ability. And if we are trying to do these 2 together, then we are switching from one mode to another all the time. It's like trying to drive a car. 100 meters this way and 80 meters this way, 100 meters this way and 80 this way. And it's not the smartest way, actually. You manage to go to the place where you want, but it's not the easiest way. And let's not take this hardest way today. Anyway, as I told you before, there are sometimes people who are trying to be rational or trying to be reasonable, whatever. It's not a good idea in this workshop, because this rational and creative mind, they are in, let's say, some kind of conflict. But I think it's not the issue here. So don't hesitate about existing rules or I don't know, how things have been in the past. It's not for us today, not before we are entering this third step where we are going to investigate the ideas. And if you think from in the beginning of the workshop that, I found this great idea or best idea, then you are in trouble as well. I really like this sentence. Nothing is more dangerous than one idea if this is the only idea you have. You should have lots of ideas, because if you have only one, then you are like people who are in love. They don't see the other sides of the ideas, the bad sides. They are going to look only the good sides of this one and only idea, because they have to make clear for everyone that this is a good idea. But if you have plenty of ideas, you can freely choose. So I said in the beginning that the slide with definitions was most boring, but here is another boring slide. But I tried to, make a picture or drawing out of the process. So we are going to generate the ideas, like, so many ideas, and then we are trying to make the short list. So it's kind of rational thinking involved here, but hopefully not too much. And yeah, it's not about the kind of eureka moments that we are waiting the great idea to come to us, but we are working or making our efforts to build the great ideas. Okay, this is the first part, the observer. And I will give you a problem. By the way, if you are not agree with me, or if you have some examples which you want to tell everyone, then feel free to do it exactly whenever you want to do it. So let's try to have kind of free feeling here. But it's actually the statistics from only US, because I didn't find international statistics. But it's about sold tickets. And the trend line is going down, as you see. If you look only these blue sticks, then maybe it don't feel that bad. But it is declining all the time, and probably you know it very well. And then the question is, if people are not going to cinemas because of, I don't know, Netflix or whatever, or is there some other reasons? And what should cinemas do? Should they, or what they are doing actually, in my opinion, is that they are trying to compete against the alternatives that people are sitting at home and watching movies. They are trying to invest in technology and to have, better quality and better sound systems, etc. Is this the right way? I guess probably not, because they have done it for years already, but ticket sales is still declining. And the question what we are trying to solve is somehow, could we bring the magic back to the cinema? And I mean by the magic that the people really want to go to cinema more than they do today. We are trying to find ideas to make this trend line growing, not continuing declining. So before we can start to create ideas, we actually have to do something similar what you did in the beginning when you tried to understand your neighbor. We should now try to understand about who we are talking, or who we are talking about. I mean, who is going to cinema today? And I want you to have some discussions in your tables. Just few minutes, just brief discussions to collect ideas what you have in table. No right or wrong answers here, but your understanding is important. And in few minutes I want post table to say, and I will just write down, and then we will decide how we will continue, depend on your feedback. So a few minutes discuss who is going to cinema today and what's important about them or how to understand them. I guess I started to build something. Usually, it's not now about this exercise. I just picked an example how, let's say, we will come back to this in a few minutes. But just picked up how usually old school marketers described, let's say, target groups. Male, born in blah blah blah, or older than or between this and this age, let's say, I don't know, married for the second time, successful, loves dog, blah blah blah. My question is it good or bad? Does this give us the idea who we are talking about? Marketers think it does. I put here two pictures. Both of them you can describe by these. And let's see if they are similar or not. Okay, I tried to pick as different personalities as possible. But it's Ozzy Osbourne, rock star, old one, and Prince Charles. Both are male. Both are born in 1948 in England. Both are married for the second time. I would say they both are successful. And they both love dogs. There was even more. I guess they both have said at least once that they like to spend their holidays in Alps. And some more issues. I thought it's already enough. So what I'm trying to point out is that if we read only this, then it feels that we know who we are talking about. But I'm sure they have different I can't find the right word. I mean, they like different things, for sure. Probably there are some things what they both like, but if we want them to get to the movie, then I think there are some different ways what we have to use. And just to give you one more exercise, two more exercise, I will show you one video here. It might be that someone has seen it before, because there are several versions of it. You can find them in YouTube, and probably someone has seen it before. But let's say it this way, that if you have seen it, don't say the right answer or any hints to other people here. And there is a point of showing this, but I will come back to the point a little bit later. Aha. Let's put it here. There is some sound, but actually the sound is not important at all. Or probably maybe we should have it just to have the right feeling, but there is nothing what you really have to listen.
I think the sound is off on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes, here. Okay. So it's only few minutes, or 1 minute 21 seconds. And it's a kind of test. And you have to count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball to each other.
This is a
Just
test of
count.
selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
15? Did someone get different answer?
16.
Yeah, me too, 16. 12.
Okay. But actually this is not the point. 15 is correct, but...
The correct answer is 15 passes.
Did you see the gorilla?
See the gorilla.
No.
Yes.
Who saw the gorilla?
I did.
I didn't.
Okay, about half of you?
I've seen a similar, so I was.
Yeah, you was kind of prepared.
Yeah.
Okay. But the ones who haven't seen before and who didn't see the gorilla right now.
I didn't see anything.
I saw the gorilla because I didn't count them.
You can't do two trips at the same time, and you put your focus to somewhere. And then you lose everything what is, out of your reach.
Yeah.
And my point is with this video that if we are on the very common level, or if we are thinking that we know who they are, if we read this, then we imagine a picture usually. Usually not this one, maybe even not this one, maybe somewhere between of those two. But we start to think in a very narrow frame. And now I want to come back to this, because actually here was some groups like teenagers, like film lovers, like couples, etc. Our goal now with this next exercise, which goes actually up to, okay, I thought we have time up to the lunchtime, but we'll see, maybe it goes faster. Is to understand each of those groups a little bit more, to make clear that we don't miss too much information. For sure we are going to miss information anyway, or things what going around us. But if we are more clear whom we are talking about, then we decrease the level what we miss. So I want you to pick 3 or 4 most important group of cinema visitors, and the most important, it's up to you who you think are most important for cinema in the future, let's say. And future starts today. So don't think that much about yesterday, who were most important groups. Maybe some of them are also in the future, but you try to figure out who are the most potential groups to visit cinema also tomorrow and day after tomorrow, etc. And I want to give you a tool what design thinkers are using, and it's actually called empathy map. So I would really prefer if you take the big piece of paper and make this kind of canvas for every single group. You can write the name of the group here, and then divide your understanding in 4 different groups. What do they think? And not only about cinema, but about the world. How they understand the world. What they see in the world. In what communities do they belong? What is important for them? What's around them? What they do in their everyday life. For work, for hobbies, I don't know, different activities. What do they hear? What kind of music, or who are like opinion leaders for them, etc. So you are trying really to go into their heads. And if you say that teenager is one important group, for example, it don't have to be, but if you decide it is, then you should do one of these canvas for teenagers. If you say that couples is one important target group, you do one for them as well. And okay, thank you.